Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Four Dads Podcast with your hosts Tees and Don Julio. Hopefully you guys have had a good week. Last week they had some good stuff going on the PGA Tour. Honestly, one of the first tournaments that I've seen in a little while. I actually watched majority of it, except for Monday, which was the biggest downside, was that it had to be postponed until Monday. And I thought it was starting 8 a.m. Pacific time, but it was 8 a.m. Eastern time, which would have been 5 our time. And by the time I was actually able to get into watching it, it was already over. Did you watch any of that tournament?
Did
Nothing?
not. Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about it had to, I think this week was Anthony Kim as well. Did you watch any of that stuff
I saw
from
I saw
Kim?
some highlights of it. I did download the app.
That was the
Just the
cool thing. You could literally watch his whole
yeah.
round on
Yeah,
demand.
it just again, it just looked like, I don't know, the hype videos were way amped up compared to how he played.
Yeah.
Um
I mean, when you have a friend on caddy that doesn't have any caddying experience, that will play a huge part.
no, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I mean, dude,
You don't think
Anthony
like when it
Kim's
comes to like putting and
no.
like things like
No.
that? No.
Anthony Kim's the pro. Anthony Kim's the pro. I mean, in my opinion, most and for those who are caddies, I mean, absolutely no disrespect, but I feel like it's just kind of like a soundboard sometimes, unless you're Bryson's caddy, right, where you're actually sitting there doing mathematical algorithms with him on wind and
Right. Of course. Of
ground and
course.
everything. But
Yeah.
I feel like for the most part, a lot of caddies are just kind of like a soundboard. Like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What are you feeling? Right? Like, what are your thoughts? Um, and they'll give it to you straight because obviously, they want to see you succeed and they want to win just as bad. But
Right.
if it's your buddy, you know, sure, I'm sure your buddy's been around. He's probably been around you playing golf quite a bit, but also he's the pro, right? He's the pro. He's supposed to do his research on the course. He knows his distances. He knows which clubs he's going to play, which clubs not to play, which ones he's got to step on, which ones he's got to back off on. Like,
Right.
I wouldn't say that's a much of I guess much of a reason. I don't want to say
What,
excuse.
what were you most impressed with? Well, during his 3 rounds, what were you like least impressed with from him?
It's just good to see him out there. I mean, you could definitely tell he's a bit rough around the edges. Um, but again, like, it could just be one time that he's really, maybe just the nerves of him coming back, the pressure of the pressure of like what was expected from him. And, it just kind of got to him a little bit, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
write him off just yet. I think he just needs to get his competitive juices underneath him and, kind of get his swag back, but also kind of looking into his own physical. He just doesn't look like he's like in golf shape. I know that's weird to say, being that golfers are in like all kinds of different shapes, but he just doesn't look like his body has been preparing to play in those types of competitive situations.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, to be fully transparent, like, the way his nose is kind of caved in ever since you said the last thing of what had happened is just kind of like, yeah, he kept partying for sure. I mean, some serious nose
Nose
damage he's
candy.
got there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I was pretty impressed with how he handled it. I mean, he definitely
Yeah.
seemed to be, hey, I made mistakes. I know I have a lot to work on. I'm just trying to, get everything going. And
Yeah.
he said, like, when I heard my name called, the nerves hit. That was like it just hit. And his first round, he shot a 76. He had like 2 or 3 putts, and he had a bad shank that he ended up having, a decent recovery from. But it was a weird lie. It wasn't like the Tiger Woods rib where it was perfect, everything. He just shanked to shank it. Like, he actually had some good shots mixed with some bads. He didn't have any
Yeah.
big numbers on the scorecard, So was it 4 over, 4 over, and 2 over? I mean, he had a minimum of one birdie every round. He got on some par trains for a little bit. He in my opinion, like, it wasn't bad. Like you said, he definitely didn't look like he was in golf shape, or maybe not golf shape, but like shape. Playing
He just
golf is
didn't.
one
Yeah,
thing.
he just didn't look like he was ready to compete. I mean, he just rolled
Exactly.
out. He just kind of rolled out like as if he was in like his Honda Element. Smoked a fat J before he got out there and was just like, "Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to
And if
play some
that's how he
round."
plays, imagine when he plays just half of that, like
Yeah,
what my
exactly.
parents used to say, like if you would just use half of the time that you would play video games and focus on school, you would be a
Yeah,
straight A student.
yeah, exactly, exactly,
uh,
exactly.
so I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean,
But
I
here,
thought he did
here,
well. Yeah, go for it.
yeah, no, I don't think he did terrible. I mean, it's
No,
just
no,
again,
no.
you know, I just think the expectation of him coming back
So high,
was so
so
high.
high.
I mean, even the way he hyped himself up too, right? Like
Yeah, his
kind of
video
coming in saying like, "Yeah, I'm expecting to beat a lot of, I'm expecting to beat some ass today, or beat some ass this weekend." It's like, bro, you came in second to dead last. Like, chill out
on the course or
yourself. Yeah, but I was gonna say, I mean, how do you think that this? How do you think that bringing someone like Anthony Kim onto the Live Tour, being that they've had all this hype around them for so long with just the new stuff that's coming on, the
Mhm.
level of players that have moved over, and the success that they're seeing, like, how do you think this impacts Live and kind of their ability to recruit players or even just bring guys out of retirement?
Well, it'll be interesting with Kim being a wild card, and I think if I'm not mistaken, he's the first wild card, right? Like the first live
Yeah,
wild card. So he's literally on his own for the whole season. I think someone can pick him up if they want to at the end of the year, or they might drop him. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's interesting to kind of see how that works because even his outfits and his hat, is like live with like a wild card, like kind of like logo on the side, which is pretty cool. I kind of like the idea since the team element is part of live. I think that you know if he does get better, which I don't think he can get much worse. Obviously, he can get worse, but I mean, like if he wasn't really as prepared as he thought or thought he could do more, and he does more, then obviously he could do better. So I think this could potentially open up a lot of positive things on that side of things, especially for just bringing someone with a trial period, maybe having a few more aces on there. Wild cards I think would be a pretty cool idea because I know a lot of people, at least in media, have a big issue with the whole thing being you know, team related. They're like, that's I don't understand that part. It's stupid. I mean, I get it. I think it's kind of cool because it's kind of like the team aspect in live kind of reminds me if you follow like soccer or even what they're doing now in the NBA where they have an in season mid season tournament where if let's say the Lakers they're like ninth or 10th in the standings but they win this mid season tournament, it's something for them to work hard for because even if they're getting their butts kicked during the regular season, it's like, okay, well, even if I'm not having a great round, I know I'm not going to win. I still could make a lot of money if I contribute to the team, even if I'm shooting 3 or 4 under and my score is counted. It's something else to work towards, even if you're Kevin Kisner, where you're like, hey, 20 is making good money, so that's why I do this. So I kind of like the aspect. It's kind of hard to kind of keep track of it, even with the little leaderboards. But I don't know. What do you think about you know what they're doing with Anthony Kim, the whole wild card and live and I guess, everything like that.
yeah. I mean, the way that I see it is like they're basically just trying to get him to a position to where he's going to promote a new team, right? The wild cards. They're going to end up bringing some guys out of retirement. Maybe
Oh,
some guys who,
really? The
well,
wild
I don't
cards,
know.
are they? Is
Yeah,
that
this
what
is
you're
what I'm
thinking?
thinking.
Okay,
This is what I'm
okay.
thinking, right? They're going to bring a couple names that really have not been too relevant within the space. Like, I guarantee you, if Anthony Kim gets his ish together, like Matthew Wolf may even be on that team, right? Like, why not? Right? It could be his brother as well too. His brother could be on that team also. I mean, his brother's a grinder, and they both get at it. But um, that's what I'm kind of thinking. I mean, why come up with a name called the wild card, being that you're starting off with the team captain essentially, or potential team captain as Anthony Kim, right? Kind of
Hmm.
guys who have been forgotten about, right? Maybe guys who just they're great players, but just are not getting the recognition because the PGA itself is just tough, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
might even be a chance where who knows? Maybe they go back after Keegan Bradley. Say, hey, dude, we got this wild card team coming up. Like, we
Hmm. Hmm.
understand your career's kind of coming to an end here. You want to continue to compete. Like, here's the opportunity. I don't know. I mean, I'm just spitballing here, just kind of thinking out of the box. But
Well, I mean,
I think
like,
it's cool. I
do you
think it's
think they're
cool.
do you think that they might add a few more teams total? Let's just say 4 or 5 teams down the road. And if they do add this amount of teams, you're going to have 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 players per team. Do you think they'll ever implement cuts because they actually
Yeah.
get?
Yeah,
Because I mean,
I think eventually they will need to. They
yeah,
will need to, and I do see it probably becoming 4 days of golf anyways at some point
yeah, hmm
because what if you got three teams that are all tied for the lead? You got to have some type of a
tiebreaker.
some type of a tiebreaker,
Hmm
either leading into the next day or something else, right? Like you could have a sudden death,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. I mean, I think what Liv is trying to do now is essentially just kind of build up their street cred, right? Give these guys the opportunity to really fill their pockets with
hmm
these tournaments that they're doing. But then eventually, if they have enough, who's to say that the teams kind of go away?
Yeah.
And now it's just another tour competing against the PGA.
Yeah. True. I mean, I don't know if you heard, but apparently, who was it? Uh, Former NBC lead analyst Paul Azinger sounds off on the state of pro golf, saying the best players aren't all playing every PGA tournament. That's over. Suddenly, Live Tour, let's just say it like it is. The PGA Tour has become fast. Sorry, let me repeat that. Suddenly, the Live Tour, let's just say that like this, the PGA Tour has become the qualifier for Live, and it's a sad day for golf. Yeah, I've watched a little bit of it, and I'm not missing it that much. I'm not missing it at all. But the fact that he's saying that basically the PGA Tour is a AAA and the big leagues is Live, what are your thoughts on how that is seeming to become with all these big players just hopping on over?
We mentioned that last year, saying that one of these tours is going to be essentially the AAA of recruiting, right? So again, kind of going back to the conversations that we've had, in previous podcasts, is this is an opportunity where players can really get guaranteed money.
Right, right.
You hear it consistently through through multiple sources. The PGA is like nothing is handed to you here. Like you literally have to grind, right?
hmm
But again, this is coming from guys who came in with I mean, the sky was the limit for them,
Yeah,
right? I mean, you're hearing a lot of this come from like JT, Spieth, Colin Morikawa, right? Um, DJ at one point. You're hearing a lot of these big names, Rory, right? All these guys are basically saying like, you're here to compete with the best, and it's like, yeah, but when it's guys like you, I mean, you haven't really seen being like 150th in the world or
hmm
placing below 20th on the field, like you guys haven't really experienced that. I mean, consistently, it's maybe one
yeah.
tournament where you just have a super bad tournament and you end up not making a cut.
hmm
But for a lot of these guys, you know, golf is such a weird sport where one day you got it, the next day you just don't.
hmm Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of like back for the British Open where Matt Fitzpatrick's brother Alex played, right, and he beat his
yeah,
big brother, right. And even then, so I think it said like I think Matt won like $50,000 because of where he placed, right? Or 50,000 pounds, right? Or no, dollars, $50,000 where he placed. But then Matt came in just a few spots ahead of him, tied for like 12th or something like that. Won 100,000. I mean, for a lot of those players, that's breaking even, or I just lost money, you know?
yeah. Right, right,
So
right.
when you go to like your entire team that travels with you, your caddy, your trainer, your nutritionist, your mental wellness coach, like even just your agent, you're out. Like
Yeah.
you're dead even.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And here with Live, they're giving you a new platform to promote yourself. They're giving you the opportunity to really own something within this tour and kind of um, revolutionize the way that this tour is being viewed. But this is where, again, going back to what we've spoken about with Live, or I'm sorry, with the PGA starting to give equity. What does that do? Like, how does that help players? You know what I
That's a
mean?
good question. We're still waiting. We're still waiting.
Yeah, yeah. There still has not been a way of like, Are these guys going to get back pay for being um, committed to the PGA, right? For not taking the money and going.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think what was the analyst's name again?
That was from Paul Azinger.
I think he's kind of hit it right on the nail. I
Yeah,
mean,
I agree.
it is very much becoming that. I mean, you're right. PGA players are not required to play every single one, but I think now this season, what we're seeing, especially what we saw at the AT&T, there is appearance bonuses that come for some of the bigger players.
Yeah, right. No, and I don't know if you heard, but Greg Norman a few days ago he informed his players that Live Golf will no longer seek point eligibility with the world official world golf rankings. What did you think about that? Like, yeah,
What
go
does
into
it
that
matter?
because
What does it matter? Right? I mean, at this point, it's kind of like if this merger is legit, right? Things continue to move forward. Like, what's it matter, right? I don't understand what the world golf ranking even matters for guys unless they're on the PGA. But
yeah,
ultimately, though, who's the best over there.
mm-hmm,
At some point, these players are going to be playing together again in
mm-hmm,
majors, in other things. So I don't know. It just seems kind of like a waste. I kind of get Greg Norman's part. It just seems like it's just a waste. It's just a waste of breath trying to continue to try and get these guys these points, even though it just ultimately it doesn't really matter, right?
mm-hmm. I mean, so many players out there are already talking. Like the questions are coming up on the media. Like, hey, what do you think of the world golf rankings? Do you think they're legit? Even Matt Fitzpatrick's like, yeah, we know who the best players are. Like, we don't need like a world golf rankings to tell us who the best players are in the world. And even Rom's like, if you are watching golf at all over the last month, you tell me Joaquin Newman's not top 10, like you just aren't watching golf. He
Yep.
clearly has done what he's needed to do. And like a bunch of players, not just, live guys, but even on the PGA tour where it's yeah, obviously, like just because the rankings are one thing, you know, it doesn't mean that it's 100% correct when so many of the players aren't getting any of those points, and the legitimacy of it is just dropping so quick. And both sides are seeing it. Obviously, the live guys are going to see it more, but the fact that the PGA Tour guys are more out and about, I think even Rory was talking about it, and it was just kind of like, yeah, they're right. I mean, it's nice to hear them say that, instead of just hide behind, a microphone and not really, and just say pass. I'm going to hold off on that question because at the end of the day, I mean, like you said, there's no real point in it because I think even Joaquin Neiman said today that he got an offer, he got what is it? He got an invitation to the PGA Championship as well. It was either the PGA or the U.S. Open this year. So it's like he's in 3 or 4 of the tournaments. So they are the 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 majors are clearly seeing everything from a full scope, right? They're not just looking at PGA and, oh, sorry, live, if you're not in the top blah blah blah, you're not eligible. They're actually paying attention closely, and they must think that live has legitimacy. You know, not just with the courses that they're playing at, but also with the players that they're playing up against. And it's nice to see, because in the beginning it just didn't seem like they were going to really be fair within the whole thing. Well, the higher ups, the people who make the big decisions for the majors, which was the biggest thing. But it's good to see because at the end of the day, you don't want that asterisk. If you're to win a major without, it won't happen now, but like without, like, let's say John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, DJ, even Patrick Reed, has a good shot, and a bunch of other young players like Joaquin Neiman who's coming up. They're not there. Like, don't get me wrong, if I was on the PGA Tour and I was normally like a 65th overall player, but without like 20 guys that could take my spot, I'm like up to like the 30s. You just believe me, like, yeah, I'm the 30th best player in the world, even though I might not legitimately be because the world golf rankings aren't legit. But hey, I'll wear that with pride. And when my golf game is over, I'll say I made it to the top 30, and work that out with golf lessons and, trying to use that as much as I can to make money. But yeah, it's nice to see it kind of come full circle, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, it's you make a good point there. Um, I mean, yeah, I don't really have anything else to comment on that. I mean, I think you made a good point. Um, I I I want to take a little bit of time here to talk about the big drop today with Full Swing season 2 starting.
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but I literally had it marked on my calendar, knowing that today was going to be a very today was going to be a very kind of mellow
Very
day for
productive
me.
day. Yeah.
No, not at all. It was a very mellow day after a very long event that I was at, and I definitely milked the day as much as I possibly could. And I watched the entire season. You know, up until I think I got all the way up until episode 6 before, or as the plane was going up, and then all of a sudden,
I've only gotten to 3. I've only gotten to
yeah,
3.
yeah. So um, I completed it. It's good, man. It's really good. I think last year definitely had a lot of fire. Definitely had a lot of events that went on that definitely made um, this season really good. The cool thing is like you're seeing it right now. The transparency of like what took place last year with the
Hmm.
tour,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
you know I'm happy to see it all kind of come out in, I'm happy to see it come out and being told by the players and kind of where their minds were at, what you know what it is, and you're gonna see like Rory kind of like where last season left off. Rory's definitely he's like the JT of last season. He's basically the guy who's got the big circle around him. He's a superstar, so there's a lot of good stuff. I was definitely very, very excited to see the episodes and just kind of hear everything. Um,
Yeah.
there is, I do want to touch on one part. I don't know if you've gotten there yet. I'm trying to remember which episode it takes place in, but it kind of talks about how the fame has just totally erupted Joel Damon's entire life.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I just
Okay.
ended where Joel Damon was talking with Gino and was saying, "Yes, I'll talk to the sports psychologist. I'm gonna
Yeah,
work
on the
better,
plane.
on the plane and
So
everything." And that
yeah,
was a tearjerker for me, dude. I was just
dude,
like,
no. So that's what
"Oh, like."
that's actually exactly what I want to talk about, because kind of going back to what you said about Anthony Kim and having your friend caddy for you. It's
Hmm.
like, dude, Gino and Joel literally, I think, are the perfect example of what, if us as amateurs were able to have somebody on our bag, it's literally our best friend,
Hmm.
right? A guy who just kind of is able to break the tension when you're feeling nervous, who's kind of able to bring you back to um to reality and just get you to realize like you're just playing around in golf. You've done this a million times. You're having fun. There was two parts in their whole entire interaction that, one, kind of were, I guess you could say, tear jerkers for me, right? Where Joel asked Gino, like, if you were to hear if we were sitting right here and you heard a bunch of babies cry, would you be able to identify,
Yeah.
your baby's cry? And he goes, yeah, yeah, I think I would, right? Or does he say I think I would, or no? Yeah,
Yeah.
he says I think I
I think
would.
so. Yeah.
And then there's like a silent pause, right? And then Gino asks Joel, like, what about you? And he goes, yeah, no, I'm not quite there yet. And as fathers, right? I think the hardest thing that we have to endure is the fact that we have to go to work. We got to go do things. We take that time away to be with our kids, to go make sure that our families are protected and that there's an income coming in, that we're able to provide,
Hmm.
right? And I think for him, you hear him mention it, it's just like he kind of goes from like being like, yeah, I'm super stoked about golf, to where he's like, dude, all I want to fucking do is just play golf for fun, but like be at home and just be an amazing father for my daughter. Like
Hmm.
that's all that I want. And last season, he reminisces on like what it was when he lost his mom and how that just broke him. And I think now that he has his own kid,
Hmm.
it hits home for him a lot harder. And that's where, my second part is the real tearjerker between him and Gino. Is like that really kind of got to me, because I was even like, dude, that's a best friend right there, where you're able to really just say like, bro, I'm here to support you no matter what. Like,
Yeah. As
we're
long
in
as you're
this.
trying and you shoot
Yeah,
an 80, I don't care.
yeah,
Just try.
yeah,
Just
just
work your
try.
way out. Yeah. And
Yeah, he's like, no, man, I like, he's literally trying to tell him, like, I will get you a caddy. I'll get you a caddy on someone on Live. Like, You'll make
Mhm.
$1 million. She's like, I don't want to make $1 million. She's like, I want to make 700 something $1,000 a year caddying with my best friend. Like, that's all that I want. Like, that's
Mhm.
all that matters. She's like, all I want you to do is just like, just try. Right.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
he's like telling him, like, if you don't go to this person by, in two
Yeah,
days,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
he's like, oh, what are you going to do? Quit? He goes, I mean, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do, Joel. Right. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I really wanted to talk about that part because that's just like such an awesome moment just to see. It's just like, again, Joel's just like us. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
he has those days.
And
Yeah.
he even admits it. He even admits it. He's just like, I know I haven't been working out. I haven't been golfing as much. I haven't been wanting to grind. Like you said, I just want to be left alone and hang out with my kid all day.
Yeah.
And even his wife, he said, was like, you're a great father, you're a great husband, you're,
You're drinking all the time.
he's like, no, he's like, you provide, but like, you're not having fun golfing. You're not
Yeah.
working hard. You're not enjoying it. Like, I got our kid. Don't worry about that. Just get better at golf. I know you can. Sometimes, yeah, like you said, you drink to excess. So, is that really what you want to do? Is that really what you enjoy doing? Is drinking excessively? Like you can't always love to do that. And even Gino was. I remember there's one part. I think it was after one of the first or second rounds of one of the tournaments. Joel comes out of the locker room and sees his wife and his kid. And he goes, "Hey, let's go back to the range. You got to work on stuff." He goes, "Nope, I'm not gonna." He's like, "Come on, we got to work on some things." He's like, "Nope, I'm good." And then he was talking about how he's like, the best friend, and he's not trying to cross the line of best friend and like, being a caddy. And it's just that would be the uncomfortable part with me, where if you weren't his best friend, it'd be a little easier to be like, nah, dude, like you left a lot of shots on the course today. You weren't comfortable with your swing. There's a couple shots that we need to go back and work on. Get your butt out here and just give me an hour. Just give me an extra hour to work on some stuff, and we'll come on back. Uh, and I mean, I can only imagine being with your best friend, because like you don't want it to be awkward. And I felt like it was a little awkward at that. Was it? Were there like at one of the events at the bar where they're drinking a little bit too much, and Gino was talking with him, and it was just like he was like, okay, wow, it's getting way too real. I got to stop this. Like, if I don't play golf well, like I can't provide, and if I can't provide, like we don't have a house, and if we don't have a house, it's a lot of pressure, But at the same time, like he's not bad, but he's not putting any effort into it. So
Yeah.
how good could you be? Would you put a little bit of effort? Like we talked about Anthony Kim, like the sky's the limit for him, and I'm looking forward to finishing up Full Swing to see how he played, because I forgot. I know he did good in one or two of the tournaments, but I'm blanking on what it was. And looking forward to seeing how all that come into fruition, because dude, I was just like tearing up. Like he's like, dude, I hate you, man. I freaking hate you. Like
Yeah.
I'm tired. Like I hate you. Ugh.
Yeah.
And it's just a great relationship, a great bond that you want to see work. And with someone in his position where he's like, nothing's worse than shooting 76, and like everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
Compared, like he's like, I know I can do better. And not even that. Gino was like, someone asked me, when was it? When was the last time he was doing well, or how can you tell when Joel is invested, when he's playing well? And he's like, anytime that he's playing and he hits a bad shot, and he looks at me and he tells me what he did wrong, what he needs to work on. You're like, oh, I wasn't connecting well, or I was a little high here, a little low there, and he was just trying to fix it while working in the next shot. It's like, instead of you just banging your club after every bad shot and being pissed, like that doesn't do anything. Like, and he's like, I don't think you've done that over the last like 2 years at the
Yeah.
Soonest. And I mean, you see everyone on the course just pulling for Joel, all the excitement around, like, oh my gosh, Joel, damn it, I waited all day for you to come here just to sign this hat. I know you didn't have the best round, but we still support you. And it's
Yeah.
nice to hear that, but at the same time, it's like, when you're not invested, it's tough,
Yeah.
because there's so many people that want you to do well. And that's even what Gino said, right? He's like, everyone wants you to do well, you just got to want to do well, you
Yeah.
know
I think it's just like it's just like us, right? Like you just kind of get burnt out,
Mm-hmm.
right? You get
Mm-hmm.
burnt out for trying to always constantly do, give your best, and even at your best, you're still feeling like you're failing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that speaks volumes for me, man. Like my job is super demanding. with like my 9 to 5, right? It's super demanding, and um, I feel that, dude. Like
Yeah.
golf, playing some video games, hanging out with Adelina, like those are my escapes. And sometimes you know, when I'm just like, I just need a break because I've been grinding and grinding and grinding. I'm just not getting the results that I want. Like, yeah, you just go through the motions, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And it kind of the good thing about Joel is he does always show up. He continues to show up even when he's just like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I just don't want to do it." Right? He has that discipline to do it, and I think it's just because he knows like it's one of the better parts of his days, right?
Hmm.
Getting to hang out with his buddy, hit some balls, sneak a few white claws in his hydro flask, and like just go out and just try to get better. And I think that's where Gino is just continuing to really harp on him, is like, just keep trying, like something's gonna
Hmm.
click, just keep trying. He's like, you're not a bad player. Like
Hmm.
it's like what they said all last season, like you shouldn't be 70th. Like, do I think you have 30th in there? For sure. Do I think you
Hmm.
have, top 15? He's like, something
Let's not get
amazing's got to
carried
happen.
away. Let's
Yeah, he
not
was
get
like, yeah, well, no, he was like, something
carried.
amazing's got to happen, right? So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things, man. It's
And
but
I mean,
that
like,
episode.
I
Oh,
mean,
go
like
ahead.
being, I was just say like being a dad, that adds another thing to it where you have someone to provide for you, not just of course your wife, which obviously you care tons about, but it's like you want the best, right? It's just like such a different love that you're like that. I'm wanting to see in the next few episodes to see how that carries over because like
Yeah,
as difficult as it is to be away from your kids or your child, you know, you being away in a way allows you to stay with them longer, because you do well in a tournament, great, you don't have to play in the next one, you could take a week off, just golf normally, but no, don't travel, stay
yeah,
local, hang out with your family more, and you're more secure for a little bit longer. And I mean, like, that's honestly the way to go, where you don't see it maybe right away, but in the end of the day, you want to provide, you want them to have the best. And obviously, he's on the right path being a PGA Tour golfer, doing pretty well so far. But, you want to put them in the best situation possible. Everyone always wants to do better than they were given, right? That's always like kind of like the benchmark. I want my kids to be better than what I had. Not saying whatever anyone else had was bad, but that's just what kind of drives, I feel like, society. I always want to do better than what I had. So I don't know. Just,
yeah. No, I agree, man. And I think again too, like I was kind of talking about this with Isis the other day, and just she was asking me like, like, what's going on, and I told her like, I'm just stressed, I'm tired, like I feel like what I'm what I'm uh what I'm doing just isn't enough. And she's like, well, like I'm here to help too, and I was like, I understand, but like you have we I told her, you have the hardest responsibility of between the two of us, right? Which is, you got to take care of Adelina when you're at home, right? Like when I'm at home and we're both there together, like I'm upstairs grinding.
mhm.
And on top of that, she's growing another one at this moment.
Mhm.
And those next 6 months are going to go by really quick, to where now we're going
Quicker
to
for
have two.
quicker for us than her,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where it's, she kind of snapped back at me. It was just like, that's not all I do. I was like, no, I know, but it kind of caught, well, no, but it kind of caught me because I think between, I won't throw you in this, but like for me, I saw my dad was always teaching me about being a traditionalist, right? Like, do what you can to where eventually you can just have your wife stay at home. And
Mm,
that's changing rapidly right now. Like, you're starting to see a huge change in like roles where the dudes are cool with staying at home and wives go do everything. But I also think that that's like, I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know if you feel it, but sometimes I feel it where I'm just like, I constantly feel like I just have to try and do as much as I can to make as much as I can to where I could just tell my wife, like, hey, we're good. Don't worry about it. You
mhm.
want to go do this? Like, here, I got it. Don't worry. Like, the more the more times that we say no, it just is kind of like, I don't know, it's just like not good. But then if we ask for something and no, it's like, all right, fine, like whatever. I'll just
We definitely
you
shrug it off a little quicker and move on, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You just kind of come back a few more times. Are you sure? Like, no.
I
How
just
about
want to
now?
double check. Yeah, right. Did anything
So
change over the
yeah,
5 seconds? Are we good? No? No? Okay, cool. Yeah, no? Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. And it is, I don't know, I was just talking about that with my wife recently. It's just crazy how much that women just in general have to sacrifice, for having a child.
thousand
Like
percent.
dudes over here just getting hammered while the wives are just the sober DDs, because like they can't
Yeah.
drink. They can, but like for the health of the baby, which is obviously priority number one, like the sacrifices they make. And yeah,
Or could you
it's
imagine?
incredible.
Could you imagine being that guy? Like as your wife's admitted in the hospital, you're waiting for everything to go down. He like your partner decides to bring their Xbox, right? Bring their PlayStation to play in the hospital to basically just kind of pass the time while you're giving birth. It's like I just don't get. I sometimes I'm like me watching Isis give birth was like the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I mean, I knew she's always been a very strong woman, but to see her go through it and then the way that she just bounced back is like crazy. But it's even wilder to me how it's wilder to me how society is just like, okay, cool, you gave birth, like, okay, we're only going to give you 6 weeks to like spend some time, and then you got to be right back here.
Well, that's America, dude. Like other countries will give you like a year
A
of like
year. Well, that's
80%.
specific.
Like,
That's
you know what I mean?
specifically
Like,
Europe. Yeah, that's
yeah,
specifically
yeah.
Europe. Yeah, but
But
I
yeah,
mean, still, it's just
well, our
it's just
parents,
crazy.
our dads were insane, dude. Like they literally would have us, and then the next day they went back to work.
Yeah,
We're kind of
yeah,
lucky that we're actually able to get something, which is better than nothing. But yeah, it is kind of crazy how it's like this isn't just like, you know, I got like a new car. This is like a
a
baby.
life.
This is a
Yeah.
brand new life. Doesn't know what they're doing. You have to constantly be on top of it. You are their world. Without you, there is
Mhm.
no. They're not going to continue for that much longer. And yeah, it's really crazy. I mean, and yeah, I'm just pushing for Joel. At the end of the day, I can't.
Just bring
We're
it back to Jill.
bring it right back to Joel, man. Because I mean, like,
No,
dude,
man.
he's had a tough life. Like his mom passing away, and I feel like this, at least for the first few episodes on the Full Swing season 2, it wasn't just him, but also Wyndham Clark, where they were talking about getting him in a sports psychologist, and they haven't really touched on it yet, and I don't know if they're gonna talk with John Rahm at all, and I don't think they will, like they did in season 1. But like John Rahm saw a psychologist, and like because I remember he was so fiery, man. Like he was like so you could physically tell, like just by watching a clip and missing a putt, how mad he would be. He would just be just like so mad, or like the tension is there. And now he's just, obviously it's a little different when you're $400 million up, but it was when he won his Masters was when he was really kicking in with his sports psychologist, where he was just the level of, hey, you know what, if it's gonna just be okay, just work on the next shot. Like it's just amazing what that can actually do to somebody. And I've been having an issue with that personally. Nothing crazy, but like when it comes to driving, I'm always that person that's talking out loud. What are you doing? Why are you going why are you going 10 miles an hour underneath the speed limit? Like there's no one in front of you. What are we doing here? Like, can you at least move over? Some of us are trying to break the law for real. You know what I mean? Like the fast lane was meant to go fast. But like over the last few weeks, Stephanie's kind of been like, yo, like kind of getting irritated with just hearing you. I'm kind of feeding off of it just by listening to it. I'm kind of feeling it. But me just being quiet and talking about it in my head, I'm much more calm. Like I'm not like tense and frustrated. I'm just like, whether it's my body is kind of faking it, kind of like not getting it out loud. It's just something that, oh, okay, I can do this. I don't feel that upset. I don't feel as tense. I don't feel as irritated of other people like I should be, because we have some terrible freaking drivers out there, Julio. I'm sure living in the Bay Area,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like
Well,
it's just crazy
it's
how that can work.
that's kind of like So Isis always lets me drive because one, I'm just super attentive all the time because I am an aggressive driver, right? Like I like to kind of
Same.
keep my pace at like 70 miles an hour, 75, sometimes 80, and it's like just get out of my way, right? Like,
Yep.
dude, if you want to cruise at 65, cool. Don't sit in the first lane, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Don't sit there and slow me down. But with Isis, it's like gas brake, gas brake, gas brake. And I'm like, why are you moving over to a slower lane? Are you going to aggressively pass somebody or what? And she goes, no. She's like, I just saw there was an opening. I'm like, and then that car ends up passing us. So like today, I think I kind of got under her skin today because she was driving, and I'm like, why wouldn't you just go into the carpool lane? There's three of us in here. Like, you know, she's like, I just didn't think about it. But she's always just, I don't know, she's always just kind of like in her own world. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where it's like, for me, I'm just like, all right, I'm going to drive. Like, you do what you want to do. You want to sit on your phone, do whatever, fine, do it. But to your point, right? Talking about the little things that I learned at a very young age to, I still struggle with it today, even being 32 years old, is like, only worry about the things that you can control,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If your family's safety is number one priority and you just gotta tap on the brakes, that's okay. Like you're still
Mm-hmm.
gonna get there. You're not moving that much faster than everyone else. Like,
Right.
don't worry. But
Mm-hmm.
one of
Mm-hmm.
the things to the sports psychology piece that we were talking about, I used to be a very fiery baseball player. Um,
Same here, man.
when I was really young. I mean, like probably more than what someone at that age should be. And it uh, wasn't until probably one of the best coaches I've had in my entire career. Someone who actually kind of catapulted my career. His name was Greg Bicknell. He literally threw this book in front of my face. It was called Heads Up Baseball. Um, and it talks about the psychology of knowing like your red light, your yellow light, and your green light. Green light is obviously everything's going good. There's no fatigue or anything like that. Your yellow light's kind of like you're second guessing yourself on the mound. Maybe you're trying to think too much while you're up to bat.
Mm-hmm.
Red is like you're in trouble. Like you're in
Yeah.
quicksand. You can't figure yourself out. You don't know what's going on. And that book was so powerful to me because it just made me kind of reevaluate everything, right? It made me reevaluate the situations I was in. It made me think about situational play. It made me think about, you know, is this something that I need to stress about? Like, I got the ground ball.
Yeah.
If so and so messed up behind me, like, it's not my problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I can't do anything about it. My job ended the minute I let go of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you look at things in those simplest of terms, it definitely helps. And I think that's where, for these guys in golf, it's like you just have to live for every shot,
Yeah.
right? Visualize, set and forget, right? Just like what Jason Day. Jason Day would literally talk about how he would get so nervous over certain shots, knowing in high stakes situations, like it was a make or break, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now when he walks into his shots, he closes his eyes and counts his steps, and he's like, okay, I'm here. Now he lines up, looks on that line, and he just like takes a deep breath and hits. It's crazy.
Well, I mean that's insane, doing those kind of shots. But at the same time, that's exactly what Clark was saying. He was saying for some of the practices that he was doing with his sports psychologist, whether she took it on the course,
Yeah.
she would have him close his eyes and putt. And he's like, all my putts made it. Like not made it, but like they had the right speed, And he was like, it was insane. Like I did not expect it. Like and you just clear your mind and you're able to, just think about you and the putt, kind of like when you're playing catch with your dad. Just hit the mitt, when you're pitching. Just throw it
Yep.
at the glove, or throw it through me, whatever it is,
Yeah. Throw it
just
through my
to bring you
chest.
back. Exactly. But it's just crazy the little things, like you said, like that can just work and just they can accumulate to worse things, or they can accumulate to like being able to handle situations, and it's
Yeah,
just
and I mean, and I think to that point is like, who's going to make it either be better or worse,
mhm.
right? I mean, I don't know if Stephanie does this, but my wife's all about like the where the position of the moon's at and manifesting what you want in your life and speaking positive vibes and oh, if you rub this crystal, it does this and right. So my wife's she's not as intense about it as she was when we first started dating, but she definitely has her moments where she's like, "Oh my god, it's a jade," it's a jade crystal. We gotta get it. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. But that's, I don't know if Stephanie's into like that horoscope stuff, but
Her sister is.
um,
Her sister's big time into it.
yeah. But hey, man, I mean, sometimes it works, but sometimes that's all you need is just a little bit of positivity to continue to just have
Goes a long way.
a waterfall of it. And I think that's the one thing, like us as men, is we're just constantly comparing ourselves like all the time to what some other dad may have, or the type of car they're driving, like the job position that they have, knowing that, like, dude, we're better than you. Like, we can totally do better than you. Like, what is going on? Even looking at certain people that you may work with, you're like, I know how fucking lazy you are. How are you still in this position? Is that a new Fore Dad's hat that you have on?
Yes, sir. Pretty sick, huh?
Jesus. I love how you just get stuff and then, like, you don't give me anything. Like, you it's just all about you. You went and got that sick red one, and then you didn't send me one.
Oh, the black one?
Yeah, the black and red with
The
with
black
the
one.
red 4.
Yeah, well, you have
If you're
Etsy
gonna
too, man. You got Etsy
Yeah,
too,
but
bro.
if you're gonna place the order because you're always getting new ones, you might as well just like say, "Hey, I'm gonna order you one, and I'll just Venmo you for it." You still have to play
Okay.
around for your money, but yeah,
I got you. Yeah, true. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll hit you up. Yeah, I got this nice little leaf and we'll talk after. But I think that's a good spot to end the episode for the time being, since there's a lot to talk about, fortunately, with
No,
what's
but
been going
that's
on
good though.
in
Like,
the world,
I like these conversations where it's, I mean, sure, the golf is fun to talk about, and I think everyone enjoys it too. But it's also like the name For Dads. It's like, hey, we are still
the
dads too.
dads.
We can kind of relate those things to it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard, like I get it. Having 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 conversations of vulnerability are always tough, no matter if you're
Yeah.
the biggest teddy bear in a room, or if you're just the stone of all stone colds. It's
Right.
tough,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but yeah, guys. With that, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. But thank you everyone for all of the support. I hope you guys enjoy Full Swing. Let us know in the comments. What are your thoughts on kind of this whole wild card idea with
Mm-hmm.
with Live? Even I would love to hear you guys' thoughts even on, do you think that the PGA is now becoming the AAA, to Live? Like, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts? I think these are some great questions to kind of hear from you guys. And excited to hear you guys' feedback. But with that, have yourselves a good one, and take care and stay fly and go low.